What's up, Tube? Welcome back to Loguido's Chop Shop, the second best gel blaster channel on the Tubes. And a lot of people have been asking me what's going on with that DSG, and I am telling them not a lot, because things are busy, things are hectic these days. I'll get to it, but I'm doing it now. Last part you might have seen, I was doing some action with the piston head there, and I had a plastic piston head. This one, which I had modified on the lathe here, and you can check that video out. I'll probably put a link somewhere to that one. I've done the same here. Basically done the same, but to an aluminium one. Run on the lathe here, open this out a bit, just to get all that nice airflow that we need for having no vacuum. Some of you may have noticed that in one of my previous videos I was having an issue with the pickup on it was picking up on the second tooth instead of the first tooth. So I've corrected that engagement there. It is a bit hard to see because when the two halves of the box aren't together, this can actually move and these can move, so it doesn't sit perfectly exactly where you want it. But I guess what I'm looking at today is going to be the cylinder. Now, as you can see from the sector gear here, I've brought this piston all the way back as far as it will go. At this point, this is when the spring would push it forward, because the teeth can't engage anymore. Spring will push forward. So if we were to look at a plunger, we'd be here in the cylinder. So I would say I might port that. It's not 100% necessary to port this, but it's also not really necessary to have that full cylinder. I guess what I'm saying is this section of the cylinder here is completely unused. So the piston is never going to get back that far. So there's really no point having it there. So in the interest of getting as much air into the cylinder as we possibly can, to allow for on the backstroke to have that minimum vacuum and all that sort of good stuff, I'm going to probably port that cylinder, and I might even have a ported one here. And I've always said throughout the progress of this build, what you are seeing here may not necessarily be the same parts that I end up with in the end result, because this is a progressing build. As I go, I'll probably swap parts out. So like, I did the work on this plastic piston just for testing purposes, and then once I proved that it worked, I moved to an aluminium one, and so now I'm using an aluminium one. Same as the tappet plate. I did the work on the tappet plate. It was a standard tappet plate, but I think now that I know what profile I want, I'll probably get a better tappet plate and do that one. And yeah, so as things are progressing, the brief is changing, and so I'm just updating the parts as I go to be ideal, I guess, for what I'm doing here. This cylinder is not the cylinder that I had in there originally. I've changed this to an aluminium cylinder. There was a stainless cylinder in there, and that's purely because I feel like if I'm going to port this cylinder, it's probably going to be easier for me to do in the aluminium one than it is the stainless. Plus I'm going to do some more stuff to this cylinder later if I don't decide to change to another ported cylinder. So I've got a ported cylinder here now, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to chuck that one in, and we'll see whereabouts this piston actually ends up when it's fully stroked back. Alright, just make sure this is on camera, in screen. Alright, so it picks up on that first tooth. drags it back to here, and then it releases. Wow, look at that! I think, okay, so I'm right here, as I've just said, I'm probably going to change my mind throughout the build. I've just changed my mind right now. I'm going to use this cylinder, and this is a stock vector cylinder. This is one that I've just got lying around because a lot of the time with vectors I put 100% cylinder in them because reasons I upgrade the barrel and that sort of thing. Yeah. But yeah, look at this. So it looks like the O-ring comes just back into that port, and then so it looks like I've got like the perfect amount of volume on this cylinder for the porting for this particular build. I think that's perfect. Like, yeah, it just seems like it's right bang on that port. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this cylinder. Incidentally, if you didn't have this cylinder lying around, you can buy cylinders with the port already in them, or you can just drill a hole in it. As long as you polish it up and make sure there's no sharp edges on it, drilling a hole or two in it's no problems. You just got to make sure you get it in the right spot. It's yeah, it's not hard to do. You just make sure that you remove any burrs off the edges so that you don't tear your O-ring up when it slides past. That's all. Alright, well, this cylinder, I like this, so we're going to do some things to it. Now, I hear a lot of talk about the 10%. I don't know if you've heard talk of the 10%. People doing builds and videos and whatnot, they tell you 90% of what they're doing, and then they leave 10% for their little secret, so you have to kind of work it out yourself. Yeah, I don't have a 10%. Everything I do, I'm going to show you. So if I'm going to do something, I'm going to show you. And this is one of the things that I do. I feel that it's time to share with you guys. So I'm going to show you what I do right now. Alright, so I'm at my bench vise here. I've got a couple of Speedflow vise jaws. If you're a mechanic, you know what they're for. They're actually for terminating braided hoses and lines. But in this case, that's not what I'm doing, but I do find that they're perfect for holding cylinders. Yeah, so I don't know, you can get some, there's many ways you can do this. Just hold the cylinder in something. I find it helps if you hold it in something that's aluminium, because it is going to probably get quite hot. Okay, so I've got my Dremel here with my polishing bit on it. Now you can get these polishing bits, if you've got a Dremel, you've probably got one. They probably come with them. They're pretty cheap. If you've got a Dremel, you usually end up buying a Dremel or a rotary tool, and it comes with a whole bunch of parts that you never end up using, and this is one of them. I got some Autosol here, or some metal polish. Any sort of metal polish will really do, I guess. Brasso, Solvo, well, I don't know, whatever metal polish you have, and I'm just going to whack it in there, and I'm just going to crank her up and run her back and forth down the bore of the cylinder. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but I'll just cut to it being done. Alright, probably my only tip for this, I mean, just keep going until she's nice and smooth inside. My biggest tip is just be like, make sure every stroke is the full length of the cylinder. You don't want to be like polishing heaps here and then a little bit there. Just make sure each stroke is a full length of the cylinder so that you don't over polish any section of it. Again, at no point have I ever claimed that this is the only way to do it, or if this, if this is how it has to be done or whatever. This is just what I do, and as I've always said, this is not an instructional video. This is just a video of what I'm doing, I guess. Yeah, so I don't know if that shows up on camera all that well, but tell me if you can tell the difference between my cylinder and the standard cylinder. Now, I guess you could polish the outside of the cylinder as well. There's no real performance gain in that, so I don't bother. I am changing the cylinder head as well. I've changed the cylinder, so I'm changing the cylinder head. I'm having to use a slightly different cylinder head to the one I started off with, but this is a nice double O-ringed cylinder head nozzle, double O-ring nozzle and aluminium cylinder head. I'll put the link to that one in the description. The cylinder is, as I said, it's from a stock Vector. I don't know where you can get them other than pulling them out of stock Vectors, or as I said, you can always drill it. Give the inside a polish, get your lovely machined piston head in there, and oh yeah, that's nice. Nice, solid seal, and next to no vacuum. Oh, that's nice. Cylinder head, plunger, so we've pretty much got the top end sorted. I am going to run some oil in the cylinder. I run various different types of oil. I run the little barrels of top oil that come with the blaster oil kits, or if you're out of that, I also just run with some sewing machine oil sometimes. That does the job. Very similar in performance so long as you keep them up. Like, you might have to strip it down and give it an oil every now and then. These things, unfortunately, they're not like the sort of thing that you can just put together and leave it and forget about it. You do need to keep maintaining these, greasing the gears, oiling the cylinder, and that sort of thing. Alright, well, I think I'm at the point in this build where I'm gonna put the MOSFET in. I might leave that for another video though, because running out of time for the day. But thanks for watching again. Don't forget, subscribe to my channel and buy me a coffee. I'm going to do some special things for my supporters coming up soon. I'm coming close to some milestones in the amount of subscribers and the amount of supporters I get on Buy Me a Coffee. So click that link down below. Support me so that I can keep bringing you these videos. Thank you very much. Peace.